Beautiful morning. This is at 10 minutes past 7 o'clock in the morning. It is the 15th of May 2025. My name is Sharon Aitore Wanganye.
Favored Frank is my name.
And my name is George Gishuru.
Allow me to bring you some good news about Grandview Estate, because this is a place where you can buy land, you can buy a plot, either build a palatial home or build a business. You know, this is a Grandview Estate in Kamangu, that is in Kikuyu, where you can do both of these. Now, imagine waking up every morning to that breathtaking view, all right? That breathtaking view, the serene and tranquil environment, I tell you, in this place, it is something else. You can buy this land today, which is just located 35 kilometers from Nairobi CBD. Talk about conveniency. And only 500 meters from the tarmac. This is a place you can invest right about now. And the good thing is that we have water and electricity connections ready. I mean, you can start building your dream home or business today. This is what you need to do. You need to call 0701 293 199. That is 0701 293 199. Or visit Amco Properties Ltd.co.ke to get more information. You only need 1.5 million Kenya shillings and you'll be good to go to own a plot, build a home, or build a business. A Grandview Estate in Kikuyu, that is Kamangu. This is where your dreams begin.
We need to invest.
Serio?
Yeah.
Very important.
Those views.
Yeah. In Kikuyu, right?
In Kikuyu.
Napiga debe.
Come we're neighbors. Yeah, Sharon.
Been there, done that.
Wow.
You highly recommend,
Wow.
yeah?
Can we move on swiftly? And in the previous hour, I did mention that Aga Khan Hospital, that is the Parklands campus, they have something huge coming up, coming Saturday. And if you or a loved one or even a friend that you know have been diagnosed with heart valve disease, then that condition needs heart surgery, but you don't know even where to begin. This coming Saturday, the 17th of May, the Aga Khan University Hospital is inviting you to a free medical camp just for a heart valve disease patients. Now, this will be happening at their Parklands campus in Nairobi starting from 9 a.m. And this will give you a chance to consult with top heart specialists absolutely free. And so for you to reserve your spot, you can call 0780 321 544. Please remember to carry any previous medical records with you.
The Hope FM Wayfinder, helping you get unstuck in traffic.
All right, let's have a look at major highways and routes in the capital this morning. We'll start off with the Greater Thika Road. If you are on Thika Road, then brace yourself for some time on the traffic because it starts from Ruaraka all the way. Actually breaks off Kidogo as you approach Mountain Mall and then begins to build again as you head from Allsops all the way to the Muthaiga Square. If you are on Kiambu Road, not to worry so much because there's only, I should say Kidogo, but it starts way past the DCI on Kiambu Road. However, it's bumper to bumper. Muranga Road is very busy this morning as you approach the Globe roundabout, so prepare yourself for that if you're heading out that way. And if you are on Gong Road, I need to tell you to prepare yourself because it begins all the way, actually kutoka uko Southern Bypass, it's bumper to bumper coming to the Junction Mall all the way to the Impala Club. And there's also a heavy snarl up at the Prestige Plaza kama kawaida. The Daystar roundabout is heavy this morning, and on Langata Road the snarl up begins to call this is where huku ni huko KWS service quarters Mbali, yeah. Then again also begins to build as you approach the Uhuru Gardens. That is for you that is on Langata Road. Mombasa Road is quite busy from the Imara Mall, actually from City Cabanas. From City Cabanas all the way to the Panari Hotel. It's bumper to bumper. If you are on that part of Nairobi, you could let us know what's happening. And of course, that feeds on to the Airport North Road. It's heavy. It's bumper to bumper. Believe you me, you may want to leave now or choose an alternative route. And that is also feeding over to the Outer Ring Road, the former Taj Mall, heading towards Donholm, Kama Kawaida. And as we head out towards Jogoo Road, now na Makadara, it's bumper to bumper, even as you approach the City Stadium. As you travel this morning, we pray for safety on the roads. Be mindful of others. And if you notice anything we need to know, do not hesitate to let us know. 20933 0717 400 555. Frank.
Yes.
Sema.
Well, you are. Every other time, every other morning, you talk about, those are motorists, but we forget wanaotembea chini jamani.
Oh,
wanaotembea pale katika ulimwengu. Yes.
Kwani gari zinapitia wapi? Zinaendeshwa wapi?
Hizo ni gari.
Yeah.
Mtu ako juu ya gari. Yeah, yupo ndani. But then we forget all these people who walk, who trek. Ushaifanya kazi in Australia? Unatembea, you go to industry.
Unanijudge.
Haelewi inasema nini. Those guys walk.
Yeah.
Kila mtu ako busy every morning. Hawakuongeleshi. Unaona tu mtu ako. Yes, very busy. Let's go.
Na kuna wenye wako na earphones. We want to say a big thank you to them.
Absolutely.
As they are walking, as they are trekking, as they are running.
Yeah.
But also, it's also very healthy. Yeah, when we look at it from that angle also. Kutembea is very healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, when you go to even those, medical experts, they tell you to ensure that you
walk,
you exercise and all. So if you are trekking in the morning and also trekking in the evening, that says a lot.
Gigi, when last did you do that?
My friend, I trek every day.
Every day?
Every day.
To and from work?
We shall investigate.
Wow.
You say that.
Yes.
Confidence, I tell you.
I tell you. For sure.
All right.
I trek every day.
All right.
Maybe trek is not the right word.
What do you mean? All right, I walk.
You walk?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, good for you.
Compound at home or...
wow, compound. No.
Ati Frank unasema.
Yes.
Kuna mayai ya dhahabu utagwa.
Yes.
Ati yes.
You can count on them anytime.
Stella Ogeto is
Gigi,
really wondering loudly.
Wana kama mimi, the way you count on me, I'm that...
A golden egg.
A golden egg.
I'm one that lays golden eggs.
Yeah.
So you don't touch.
Oh, are
such.
you the egg or the layer?
I'm the layer.
Good question.
Gigi knows.
What do you mean I know?
So, anasema asiguzi. Anataka bai ya dhahabu bana.
Who is this?
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
Many of which who have already been exposed to the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Starting this January, every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond. Watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki msoul.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. Join John Carson every weekday as he takes us on a journey through the Bible.
Whoever shall seek to save his life, if you go back to living for yourself, you're going to lose it. But whoever shall lose his life, give up his life for my sake, he shall preserve it.
Enjoy interesting, knowledge-packed, yet simple teachings through his humor and in-depth understanding of God's Word.
The last people that tried to put God in a box, literally, he rose again. He wouldn't stay in their compartment. If God was small enough for me to figure out, he wouldn't be big enough for me to worship.
Tune in to Hope TV for John Carson every 10 p.m., 4 a.m., and 10 a.m. weekdays on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond. Watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond. Watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru. Ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki msoul.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
George Gishuru.
Yeah.
Na mimi kwamba mmoja ashakwambia tupo barabarani.
Ndio hivyo. Unajua umetaja wale wa trackers, wale wa trekking, kutembea na nini.
Okay.
So wamesema sisi trackers ndio tuko, nimepita hapa nje ya Sitama za Head to Town, wachaneni na sisi. Sisi tuko fit. So Sharon umesikia?
Tuna ubaya.
Uko na homework kutoka kwa Giovanni Gio. Anasema George, what do you mean? So sijui ni nini kwa sababu mimi nimesema huwa na trek. Sharon, please investigate and bring back the evidence.
Yes.
Enough said.
Tutangulize hapa Nairobi.
Haya.
Wajua kwamba bunge la kitaifa limekupa wewe kama mwananchi siku 14 utoe mapendekezo kuhusiana pale na mswada wa fedha mwaka 2025. Una nafasi siku 14. Toa maoni, hawataki kero la Gen Z kama
mwaka uliopita.
Kwa hivyo George Gishuru, Sharon Naitore,
tunatoa wapi?
mna nafasi
Wapi?
Toa maoni.
Wapi?
Alafu pia Sharon,
Yeah.
unajua kutoa maoni ni jambo moja. Kusikizwa
Jambo la pili
is another thing, because people have been talking, people have been giving recommendations.
We are all talking daily.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, do they put that into consideration, or they just say it's okay? They just want to tick a box, you know,
for formality.
For public, there was public participation. So, yeah, but we brought it to the people. But then again, what the people are saying, will they be able to now put it and consider the same before they come up with another, should I say, finance bill?
A good question.
Yeah.
Na upata kwamba tukisalia Nairobi, wajua mwaka uliopita wakati wa maandamano ya Gen Z, ikasemekana kwamba kidogo mtandao umeweza mtu ameweza kushusha ni wananchi hawezi kutumia mtandao. Umeweza kuzimwa tu.
Sijui unatafuta maneno yapi tena.
Nataka wajua ni kuosha bwana.
Call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
Wajua
acha hii mambo ya muosho.
Yale mazungumzo yameweza kuanza. Inasemekana kwamba kuna wale makundi ambayo kutetea haki za kibinadamu yameweza kuingia pale kotini ya kuweza kusitisha kule kuzimwa kwa interneti hapa nchini Kenya. Maana wanasema kwamba wakati wa maandamano, wakati wa uchaguzi, ushapata, inasemekana kwamba nyakati zile serikali ina tabia kuweza kuzima mitandao. Kwa hivyo wanasema kwamba tafadhali serikali isizimie wananchi mitandao. Wajua hapo ndio tutatengeza mlo bwana. Hapo ndipo ni Sharon. Really? Sharon atakueleza kinagobaga kwamba hapo tupate $2 3 baada ya kufinya finya, unajua.
Wow, Frank.
Wow. Yeye katika masuala ya interneti. Na kuna wasiwasi hapa Nairobi. Wajua tunasema kwamba
Nairobi
it has to work. Unajua? Inasema kana kwamba kuna hawa makurutu wa kanjo. Inasema kana kwamba jinsi wanavyoendesha na kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba sheria za jiji zatekelezwa, wanafanya kwa njia isiyofaa. Sema unapofukuzwa pale katika jiji, unapofukuzwa katika nyumba ya kukodi, ushajua. Maana unajua kuna wale ambao hawajalipa kodi kwa miaka kadhaa. Wamekuwa kifurushwa wale ambao hawajalipa pale ada za ardhi. Ushajua? Kwa hivyo inasemekana kwamba kuna wasiwasi, manake inadaiwa kwamba hawa maafisa wa county
makanjo
wamekuwa genge hatari. Ni genge hatari.
Actually, so somewhere they say that it's a 700 strong city militia. They have been given a tag.
Wow.
It must
and
be really
yet
bad
they
because
work for the county.
Yeah, yesterday we read a story about, sexual exhortations or something like that. So this is a matter that should be...
It's a very serious allegation,
very serious
and
allegation.
If I was actually the county governor or whoever is in charge of the same, I believe it's the city inspectorate unit, they need to do thorough investigations, because that taints the image of the county, number one, and two, if it is true, then action, and I mean severe action, should be taken.
George Gishuru, these young men and women do not act in their own command. There's a command structure.
Then we need to dismantle
orders
that.
Come from
then we need
above.
to dismantle. What do you mean command from the top?
Mkubwa amesema.
Ikiwa ni mkubwa basi hata huyu mkubwa tumjue.
Bas, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's no one, you see, I remember there was one thing former CJ, what's the name? Willy Mutunga once said.
Yes.
That no one should be above the law, or rather too big to be above the law,
yes,
or too small to be below the law.
Wanasema
all of us should be within the law.
Absolutely.
Na wakasema wahenga wa siku zetu ya kwamba kuna wenye nchi na wananchi.
No.
That one we refuse.
Nasema tu.
Sasa ndio manake sasa tunasema hao wahenga hatuwasikizi tena.
Sasa tutatunga zetu sasa.
Ndio hivyo. Na tunasema hivi ndivyo tunataka nchi yetu, kaunti yetu, eneo letu liongozwe ama iongozwe. Lakini kutuambia hapa sijui mimi niko na hela, kwa hivyo I can do what I want. Sijui I know so and so. Sijui I'm in office. No, everyone should be within, and the same law should apply to everyone.
Absolutely.
That is how countries thrive. That is how democracies are governed.
Kwa mpigo.
Yes.
Wajua tukielekea pale Kilifi,
sasa tumeenda pale,
tumeka kule coast
kwa breezy pale
hapo hivyo chini ya mnazi. Watulia tu. Kwa hivyo inasemekana kwamba polisi wanachunguza kisa ambapo kuna mwakilishi waje aliweza kuzabangwa, alipigwa na wenzake yani.
Kulikuwa na nini?
Alisema kwamba huyu ni wa mrengo wa UDA aliyepigwa. Kwa hivyo wanachunguza waweza kujua kwa nini aliweza kupigwa. George Gishuru.
Nothing warrants kupiga mtu.
Yeah.
Whether they are right or wrong, no one should be beaten.
That's why it's a democracy.
Na iwapo asikii.
Kusikia nini?
Frank.
You see, it's your opinion and my opinion.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you either take it or leave it. Yeah. I'm not forcing you.
Honestly speaking, wakupigwa ni watoto wadogo na ni mzazi ana discipline mtoto. Full stop.
Frank anasema hapa huyo jamaa kidogo ni kana kwamba hakusikiza mamake.
Anafundisha na
ulimwengu umechukua hatamu.
No.
You
cannot condone such.
Asiji kwamba George Gishuru hapo una jambo pale kutokea.
Langu ni kutoka kaunti ya Turkana, lakini ni taarifa ambayo inahuzunisha. Kwa sababu wanasema pale kumekuwa na mvua kubwa sana na wanasema takriban boma 40 zimekuwa affected. So they are saying over 40 homes in this village in Lopitding have been flooded, and this follows heavy rainfall. And now the unfortunate thing is that hundreds of homes, or rather families, have been displaced, household property, of course, destroyed, and now residents are calling for urgent assistance. Many have been forced to seek shelter in neighboring villages and makeshift structures. And now, for me, my prayer is that even as we wait for the humanitarian effort by Kenya Red Cross Society and all, I believe we have a county government.
Absolutely.
And I believe we have a member of parliament. I believe we have ward representatives of these particular area.
Yes.
Why can't they have concerted efforts and ensure and see to it that everyone is assisted, so that we do not have any loss of life, and even we have medical assistance, we have, as they are saying, property and everything, household items also destroyed.
Yes.
We can be able, or rather they can be assisted and ensure that their life is back to normalcy.
Very true. Sharon, kuna jambo pale.
Go ahead, Frank.
Wajua kwamba tukielekea pale Matu, hii ni Mayakos. Wajua kwamba pale Matu, jiji ni kuuliza swali. Mgeni akija hapa hivi, akija hapa leo hii, na kwa hiari yake amekwamba favored Frank, umefanya kazi nzuri, umenihost kwa njia safi,
ndio hivyo,
chukua tipu.
Tipu.
Na nataka kuuliza swali. Nauliza George Gishuru, iwapo wewe sasa ndo bosi, mgeni akinipa tipu, tatizo lipo wapi?
Liko na tatizo. Kwa sababu tuna sheria na masharti ya kila boma. Kwa hivyo ikiwa ni tipu, kuna labda port ambayo unafaa kuweka. Ndio hivyo. unafaa pia kuja useme bosi, mgeni wetu leo amefurahi kazi ile ambayo nimechapa na nini,
Ndio.
ameacha tipu. Then kutoka pale tutazungumza.
Kwa hivyo pale Matu, katika mkahawa fulani, kuna mwanadada katika ile hoteli, inasemekana kwamba kuna mteja aliingia pale akaweza kuhudumia kwa njia inayofaa na mwanadada, na mteja kaamua chukua tipu jamani. Kwa hivyo bosi wa pale akamwambia, hapa hivi hatuombaombi bwana, hapa hivi na kulipa hapa ni kazi. Kwa hivyo rudisha tipu. Anasema rudisha bwana, Sharon, si nzuri. Si vizuri bwana.
Really?
Narudishaje tipu bwana? Narudishaje tipu?
No. You know, Frank, what determines if it's okay to take it or not? It's the organization. So kama boss amesema rudisha, my friend.
Unarudisha.
Rudisha. Unataka kazi ama unataka tip?
Zote.
Unajua unaweza ambiwa basi chukua hiyo tipu na kwa heri tuonane. So chagua. Be wise.
Mseto wa Kaunti.
Hope FM, another quality service from Christ, is the answer ministry.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
Many of which who have already been exposed to the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Starting this January, every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Wake up every morning to an exciting moment of worship. With a powerful inspiration from God's word.
Psalm 84 verse 4 says, "Blessed are those that abide, that dwell in the house of God." The blessing is on those that dwell, those that abide. They have made the house of God their abode.
The kingdom of God is already with us in the present time we are in, but it will also be fully realized at the end of the age. But the kingdom has been prepared by God.
On Hope Devotion every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Only on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Going back to the heart of worship.
Whether up the mountain or down the valley, we were created to worship God.
Enjoy carefully selected worship music every Wednesday all day long.
Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
We take it a notch higher with more worship music.
Every Wednesday
is Worship Wednesday.
Only on Hope FM. Listen and live.
You are Alpha and Omega.
Not only are we going to be offended, but believe it or not, we are going to offend somebody else. Whether directly or indirectly, sooner or later, we're going to hurt someone's feelings. We're going to do something that will disappoint someone. We will break someone's heart. We are humans. We are all weak. We all make mistakes.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The Lord Almighty reigns.
It's the man's responsibility to initiate that. Even if his wife was wrong, but he responded by raising his voice, by saying things to her with the wrong attitude, He needs to go down and knock on that door and say to his wife, will you please forgive me?
Set the prisoner free. By his own great mercy we are set.
Men on Record.
Do your children know that you love them? Not by what you buy for them. Do they hear it from you? Emotional abuse. It's a silent killer that we don't talk about. Asking yourself those very relevant questions. What kind of father do I want to be? When I'm getting married, what kind of husband do I want to be?
It's a conversation about men for men.
And remember this.
To revisit, reveal, and heal issues among men.
Good evening, Men on Record. Why should I talk or say much when all I want is peace, not problems?
Let's set the record straight. Men on Record, Fridays at 7 p.m. live, exclusively on Hope TV and Hope FM. Men on Record, it's a man thing.
It's to the top of the hour on this beautiful 15th of May, 2025. It's a great day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing, and we appreciate your feedback this morning as Activate meets at dawn. We are activating at dawn, I tell you. My name is Sharon Aitore Wangenye.
They call me Favored Frank.
And my name is George Gishoro.
And George, you know, today is Thursday.
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes, Frank.
Corporate Hub.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And I don't know at Hope at Dawn what they do.
Yeah.
No, you can't say that. You're also
Am I allowed to
sanctioned.
step out, please? For me, it's the audacity.
No.
Sharon,
George,
would
you
you
know,
excuse me?
this is it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
at
while
8.
you are on air, Frank
Yes.
is also on air. So
Yes.
Oh, so
yeah,
maybe he
pardon,
doesn't know.
Pardon him.
All right.
But he knows.
That is way better. It's a diplomatic way also of
You
saying.
know, at
yeah,
8,
yeah.
we have a conversation, a very great and pertinent conversation.
Definitely.
That is coming up at 8 because we're going to be having this Honorable Senator Crystal
Yes.
Asige in studio.
Yes.
And of course, talking about the new PWDs Act 2025.
Yes.
You know, apparently, that was back in the year 2003. That's when we had the first act of the PWDs. And we know the circumstances that, the prevailing circumstances that led to that act.
Being worked on quickly.
Yeah, sure. It had to be, hurried up and put into law.
Because a big shot was now involved.
Yes. And then President, the late Mwai Kibaki.
Yes.
Alikuwa amepata ajali and he was now on the wheelchair. And he had to fasten up things so that pia, now those who are disabled can now benefit from what there is in the government.
Yeah.
So we just want to see the development to date, what has been happening, how has it been working.
And also now the difference between now that act of 2003 and now the new PWDs Act of 2025.
Absolutely.
And this is a very timely conversation that we ought to be having so that inclusivity, so no one is left behind. And
Very
so that
true.
is the conversation that we'll be having at 8 in the AM. So you need to stick around for that. We continue all through to 9 a.m. as radio meets TV, and Honorable Crystal Asige, the nominated senator, she will be joining us in the next hour for that conversation.
Absolutely.
Frank,
Yes.
just before we get on to the next conversation, because I know we have with us a guest in studio, but before we get to that conversation, just would love to alert everyone, especially those that are using Mombasa Road, that the reason why there's such a huge snarl-up is because I'm told there has been an accident involving multiple vehicles that has happened along that part of Nairobi, and the vehicles that have been involved in the accident have not been cleared from the scene yet, and so that is what has brought about the huge snarl up that starts all the way from Cabanas Cabanas on Mombasa Road. So if you have a plan of using that route, you may want to consider another one if you have any, or be patient as they clear the road. And if anyone knows anyone who should be clearing this road, tafadhali alert them, because that is a matter of urgency, so that also to check that lives are preserved.
Absolutely.
Yes, and thank you so much, Flo, for letting me know what's happening right there. And we have so much feedback that has come in, great people. Joy Mutuko is loving the conversation. TV meets radio. And good Anasema Gigi doesn't work.
Wow. She now knows. Anajuaje, exactly.
It's a throwback indeed. Karibu sana Gigi, muda tangu nikusikie. Asante. Anasema pia itategemea na distance yako Gigi. So your statement Gigi is very contentious.
Why?
Anaweza tembea kutoka kwa gari mpaka kwa ofisi.
Let me throw this to you so that we can have the conversation on how we can get to invest.
All right, we got some amazing, opportunities and investment avenues coming up for you, because we got a guest in studio who will be helping us, delve deeper in the conversation we have right now. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, Frank.
You well?
Good morning. I'm well.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana.
My name is Rebecca.
Rebecca
Mungai, all the way from Faidika Real Estate. I'm the project director there.
All right.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Just to dive straight into the conversation to begin with, tell us, who is Faidika?
Thank you. Faidika is a real estate company.
Okay.
And we are located at Roiro's Palmol. If you're coming from Nairobi, it's exit 13. Second floor, suite number 7. You can reach us on 0717 520 520. And Faidika is a Swahili name.
Okay.
That means benefit.
Yeah.
So we want our listeners, those people want to have a chance to invest. They come and benefit from the founders' wisdom,
Right.
Their experience. Remember, we say experience is the best teacher.
Absolutely.
And we want to share our experience, our expertise in matters around buying. And we pride ourselves by having a team that is quite dedicated. We know the process of buying land. And when you come on board, there are so many people who are asking, why should I invest in the first place? Where should I invest? What do I look for when I want to invest? Those are the questions that we help investors to answer, and we guide them through the process. Yes.
Great. You've talked about some of the frequently asked questions.
Yes.
But now, besides these, why should somebody invest with Faidika?
Thank you once again, Frank. You invest with Faidika because, just as the name says, our end goal is to see you getting that benefit.
Right.
You getting to invest where you'll get a great return on your investment. We help you develop an investor's eye. Remember, an investor is someone who is concerned with the future, not today.
Okay.
So they are asking, where can I put my money today so that in 5 years I will not regret? And we tell them the only place you'll be guided clearly, you have a friend. It's not just a business. You need an investment partner.
All right.
Because we want you to invest with purpose. And there is no other place you can get that other than at Faidika.
All right.
So call us at 0717 520 520. We start off the journey.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's now talk about some of the projects available, somebody can leverage at Faidika. What are some of these projects?
Today we have one of our prime projects at Matu. That is what we have on offer.
Okay.
And Matu, we are giving, and I'm not saying selling, we are giving.
You're giving.
A 50 by 100 for 265,000.
All right.
Why do I use the word giving? As if you are a parent and you want to give to, your son or daughter, you give them according to their ability to handle whatever you're giving. And at Faidika, once we start the journey and we walk with you, then we are giving you something that you will enjoy in
Alright.
the future.
Mhm.
That's why we use the term giving, because we want it to have a relationship, a long-term relationship of investing. So welcome. Let's go to Matu. And Matu is one of the fastest growing town, but based on the devolution. Devolution means that the county government are somehow independent,
Yeah.
and they are able to offer services without having all the way to go to national government. And in that we have seen so many towns grow. Matu is one of them. Matu, we have major banks there. Matu, we have supermarkets. Schools are coming up. And because of that, then we need investors to come on board.
Yeah.
Because if the population grow, then there is demand for housing.
Yeah.
So if you're an investor, you come in, get your plot today. The population today will not be the population 5 years. So we need someone to invest on that today, so that an investor will be coming 5 years to do an apartment, will be buying from you.
Okay.
Then you'll have gotten your return on investment. We are doing site visit every Wednesday and every Saturday, so you can call 0717 520 520, book a seat. It's a free site visit. Yes.
All right. Talk about, you mentioned the size of the plot.
Yeah, 50 by 100.
50 by 100. That is a 260?
265,000.
265,000. All right.
Yeah, I wanted to ask because you know, in Kenya tunaambiwangwa shamba ni title. So let's talk about the title deed in terms of documentation. So how is the process of getting title deeds? How is the ownership, so that now once I pay the full amount and all, how long does it take for me to get my document?
At FIDICA, we pride ourselves even in doing a research, doing due diligence. And we say at FIDICA, we do both the formal due diligence and the informal due diligence. The informal one is where you go and we sit with the mzee wa kijiji and get to understand the history of a certain piece of land. So that when we are buying, because if there are family tagos, they may not be registered at the RAD registry. But the people on the ground, they will understand that. So other than doing that, we also go to the RAD registry. We do our due diligence, and we ensure that whatever property we are buying is legit. So our project have ready titles, currently registered at the FIDICA Real Estate. And once you get to buy at 265,000, that price is inclusive of title deed. That price is inclusive of all the legal fees. Remember, there is a very crucial document that one need when you're buying a property. That is a sales agreement that will define what are you buying, what are the terms, and what will I get. All that will be captured in a sales agreement. The price is inclusive. And once you clear, within 60 to 90 working days, you get a title in your name, and the price is inclusive. So we will not come back and say, oh, we need more money for the title. It is all inclusive. Yes.
Oh, great. You've talked of the project in Matu.
Yes.
Maybe are there some other projects somebody maybe could go for?
Yes, other than Matu, we have a project in Malindi.
Okay.
And last week we mentioned we were having a site visit, and I want to say it was a successful.
Yes.
Well, we took our customers there via SGR on Friday. We visited the site on Saturday.
Okay.
And they came back the same Saturday evening. So we still have more portions available. Few for grab. An acre at only 399,000.
This is an acre.
A whole 1 acre.
I tell you.
399,000.
Yeah.
The price is inclusive of a return ticket via SGR and title deed. So we are not asking for extra cash. No. So this is a prime opportunity that we are asking. Investors, don't be left behind. So come on board, call that number 0717 520 520, ask for the map so that you can book whatever is remaining.
So we have Matu and we have Malindi.
We have Matu and we have Malindi, and we also have Kirimambogo.
Okay.
Kirimambogo is just before you get to Matu, and a prime area with great views of the Kirimambogo. and we are giving a 50 by 100 for only 395,000.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Allow me ask this for people like us, the small farmers, and unlike Frank, maybe I'm not able to pay the full amount. Are there, an agreement for what is
Lipa
it called?
mdogo mdogo.
Lipa hiyo mdogo mdogo, paying in installments.
Yes,
Do you have that option?
Yes, we have that option of Ripa Mdogo Mdogo, and it is individually based. So we don't define it that it has to be 3 months or 4 months.
Yeah.
It is individually based, depending on your ability.
Yeah.
So when you come on board, you tell us, I do contracts, and I'm
right.
paid after the end of the contract.
Yeah.
Then we do that agreement based on that, your ability.
Okay.
Someone will come in and say, I work in a salon maybe, and I'm paid on a weekly basis.
Yes.
Can I pay on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
Then we capture that. We are quite flexible.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, great. There is somebody out here who's asking, maybe your physical locations and maybe contact details. Are you on social media platforms, maybe your website?
You call us on 0717 520 520. We are located at Ruiru Spa Mall. From Nairobi, it's exit 13. We are second floor, suite number 7. You can check us on Facebook, Twitter, or even YouTube, Faidika Real Estate.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, we're coming to the end of our interview this morning. Before we get there, maybe if you could just let somebody understand one more time, why do they need to invest with Faidika?
Thank you. And the Bible says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And we have seen so many people perish or lose their investment because they never did their due diligence. They never got to understand the process. And at Faidika, we take time to take you through the process. It's not about the money first.
Yes.
It's about understanding why do you even need to invest, so that you invest with purpose. And we tell you, come on board at Faidika, start your journey today. One wise man said,
Yes.
the best time to invest in real estate is 5 years ago.
Okay.
The next best time was yesterday. So if you never did it yesterday,
Yes.
then you can only do it today.
Yeah, okay.
By calling 0717 520 520. Let's start off this journey. If you can't do it alone, there is an option of putting resources. You and your colleague, you and your friend. You say, I don't have the whole 399.
Yes.
But if you come, the 3 of you or the 4 of you, each one only need to pay 100,000. And you get to book that a whole acre. Then you
Yes.
start your investment journey.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome. Gigi.
I love that.
Twende Matu, twende Malindi,
Twende Malindi.
Kilimambogo.
For me, I think Malindi.
Unataka chini ya mnazi tu.
Chini ya mnazi tu pale, then breeze
Yes.
as I watch,
Yeah.
the ocean and all.
Yes.
Then I can even come up with cottages there. There's still something in me ya kuleta hela.
Yes. Kwa mpigo.
Ndio hivyo.
And it's amazing to see that everyone is actually taken care of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hata kama mumenisahau. Hata mimi
Sharon, unataka kwenda
nitaenda.
wapi wewe? Kilimambogo
ama Matu?
Kilimambogo sounds good for me.
All right.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
that would be an amazing consideration to make.
Absolutely.
Rebecca, we appreciate you and the great job that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
To get to settle people. So maybe you could share with us again the number that we can call if you are on social media platforms as well. You can share that with us as we bring this to a close.
Thank you. Call us once again on 0717 520 520. Check all our social handles. Faidika Real Estate. Investing is the real deal.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Investing is a real deal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And gentlemen, appreciating your company here. Kuna maneno kadha wa kadha mnaambiwa.
Asemaje?
I actually doubt these maoni.
Why?
Yeah.
Inafaa tujiangalie wenyewe.
I need to see this on paper.
Yeah.
Kwa kartas.
Yes.
Unataka
You are
evidence
inventing
kwa karatasi.
things on the other side, Sharon.
I'm not. This is true, genuine feedback.
Yes.
Marina amesema, you guys should know that Manu is just but a sleeping giant.
Hallelujah.
So I thought I should encourage Gigi. Yeah. Stop clapping.
What a wise statement.
It's 8 o'clock. o'clock, guys. Kennedy Kimani is up next to the latest in the news world. And then we get into that much-awaited conversation with Honorable Crystal Asige on this new act. So stay with us. If you have a question or comment, feel free to share that with us as well.
Listen and live on 93.3 FM in Nairobi, 93.9 Western Kenya, and 101.9 Mombasa.
Hope FM.
It's now 8 a.m.
Listen and live.
A revival is breaking out. The voice of hope in the air.
Hope FM, listen and
Newswatch. Newswatch at the heart of it with Kennedy Kimani.
Good morning. Two activists have moved to court seeking to nullify the appointment of Makau Mutua as President William Ruto's senior advisor on constitutional affairs, arguing that the role has no legal basis. In their petition, Dr. Benjamin Magare and Eliud Matindi claim the position is neither anchored in the Constitution nor backed by any legal legislation. The duo wants the appointment revoked and Mutua compelled to refund all public funds received in connection with the role. They further argue that without a transparent, merit-based process, the president acted outside the bounds of the Constitution in making the appointment, rendering it, in their words, invalid.
News with Hope FM.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has come to President William Ruto's defense over controversial remarks on abductions, insisting that the president's comments were misinterpreted. CS Murkomen has clarified that the head of state was not admitting to state-sponsored abductions, but rather highlighting the government's efforts to curb such incidents. The president had faced backlash after suggesting that all previously missing persons had been reunited with their families, sparking public concern over possible state involvement.
When he said that we have stopped abductions and that people have been returned to their homes. The fact that we are saying as government we have been able to stop abductions, the same way I have told you here, we have been able to stop illegal mining in Moyale. Saying we have stopped does not mean we were doing. And I think it's very unfortunate that the president has been and the way it has always been twisted when he says anything he says, it was his direction. The same way he has directed that we must deal with OLF, we must deal with drugs, we must deal with the illegal mining, is the same way he said we must deal with all elements related to abduction.
The High Court has issued conservatory order barring the government and telecom operators from shutting down or interfering with internet access and digital communication services. Justice Bahati Mamuyi's ruling restrains the Communications Authority, mobile providers like Safaricom and Airtel, and related agencies from imposing blanket shutdowns, throttling or blocking access to platforms such as social media, telephony and data services. The order stems from a petition by civil society groups including RCJ Kenya and the Kenya Union of Journalists who argue that past disruptions like the shutdown during the Reject Finance Bill protest and the suspension of Telegram during national exams violated rights and lacked legal basis. The petitioners warn of rising digital authoritarianism and seek to prevent similar interference, particularly ahead of the 2027 general elections. The case will be heard in full at a later date, but the order remains in force until then.
News with Hope FM.
Naivas Supermarket has dismissed as false and malicious the reports alleging that its outlets are selling expired products and have been shut down by health authorities. In a firm rebuttal, the retail chain has assured the public that all its branches remain open and fully compliant with national health and safety standards. The company has criticized the reports as harmful and misleading, warning of possible legal action against those behind the misinformation.
News with Hope FM.
And Kenyans can breathe a sign of relief as fuel prices remain unchanged for the third month in a row. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has announced that pump prices for super petrol, diesel and kerosene will stay steady until mid-June despite a drop in global import cost. In Nairobi, motorists will continue to pay 174 shillings and 63 cents for petrol, 164 shillings and 86 cents for diesel, and 148 shillings and 99 cents for kerosene.
News with Hope FM.
And that's the news at 8. Good morning. I am Kennedy Kimani.
Newswatch.
Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu.
One of the things that's really been hitting me as a theme and thesis that runs through the treatise of truth when you fly 30,000 feet up studying the scriptures is this theme of rest. You remember when Moses and the Israelites, about 3 million of them, were at Migdol, Pihahiroth, between a rock and a hard place, the Red Sea on one side, the Egyptian charioteers on the other. They thought they were going to die, but what did God say? Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You don't even have to fight this battle. What's the message? Stillness is the key. Find rest. Then you look at Psalm 46, verse 10. The psalmist says, be still and know that I am God, speaking in the voice of the Lord. You see, Jehoshaphat.
Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote.
The good thing again, we got water and electricity connections ready. That means you can actually start building your dream home or business today. Grandview Estate, Kikuyu Kamango, this is where your dreams begin.
35 kilometers, you said?
Yeah.
From the CBD?
Yes.
So that means that actually, in essence, you're living in the CBD.
Talk about convenience.
Convenience. All the amenities available.
I tell you.
Yeah, small amount though.
Sharon.
I like the way Frank Gigi is encouraging all of us.
Yes.
Home ownership.
He needs neighbors.
You know, even the government is pushing us towards affordable housing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's good when you own a home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, and this is the hour we have been waiting for, the hour we have been anticipating as we get to have this conversation with Honorable Crystal Asige, nominated senator. I think we alluded earlier, not I think, but we did allude earlier to our conversation this moment, and we encourage you to actually connect with us. And I am forgetting to say that we are live on Hope TV as well. And we thank you so much. Thank you so much for for watching us this morning from wherever you are. It's a salute to you and thank you. Remember to engage us. There's a number that appears on your screen if you're watching us on TV, and so you can link up with us over there. And if you're listening to us on radio as well, and we are live across our social media platforms at Hope FM Live, you can get to connect with us. Share the link. This information is power. Let as many people know what this act is about, where it concerns them, where they must come in, plug in, and what they need to know really that affects them both directly and indirectly. And as well, write to us on 20933. That's our SMS line at 0717 400 555 is our WhatsApp number. And of course, at Hope FM Live across our social media platforms. George, over to you.
All right, thank you. And I think without further ado, we should delve into today's conversation. And we are looking at the PWDs Act of 2025. And we are honored this morning to be hosting nominated Senator, the brainchild behind the Persons with Disabilities Act 2025. And she is a nominated senator representing persons with disabilities. She is also a top 40 under 40 winner.
Yes.
And also, she is the brainchild, of course, of these very transformative law, that is the Persons with Disabilities Act of 2025. So,
you're forgetting to mention something. She's a musician. You want to hear some vocals?
We'll see if time allows.
Yeah.
We'll see. And so, Honorable Senator, good morning.
Tobechuku, hey, Tobechuku, Tobechuku, he has done it for me.
Hey.
Ay, ay, ay. Tobechuku, Jehovah, Tobechuku, Tobechuku, he's done it for PWDs.
Amen.
I tell you.
Hey, I know, right? I think after this we can go to the Hope Recording Studios.
Yes.
And then we do something.
1 2 1 2 haraka sana.
Haraka upesi, you know.
Bas, it'll be a good morning for me.
BGVs, we are okay. BGVs, we are, I think, fine.
Yes,
so
yes.
thank you so much for honoring this invitation and just coming in to share with us all about PWD's
Yes.
Act of 2025.
Thank you.
And asante sana, looking forward to an amazing time. And I think, first of all, before we even go to the act itself, for me, I would love to start it from the point of how it feels, when you heard that it had been signed into law. But before even that, you grabbed the attention of the nation. Allow me to take you back to last year when you gave that very emotional, passionate speech at the floor of the House at the height of the
Gen Z
protest, the Gen Z protest and all. What led you to give such a passionate, emotional speech?
Wow. It's almost a year as well, almost a year anniversary to that time. I remember it was the day before, the Tuesday, that the protests happened, the height of the protests happened, and youth and protesters were able to enter Parliament. So the Wednesday morning, we had a session. And in fact, I remember there was a motion that was tabled that Wednesday morning to close Parliament for us to go home on a recess and reflect on what has happened. And I was livid. I was saying, Speaker, how can we go home? We're in fact, this is the moments where we're supposed to show up as parliamentarians and not run away to our counties and hide, put our heads in the sand. And so it was half frustration because of what I experienced the day before on Tuesday. All that whole day, I could hear guns firing all day long, young people dancing. At one moment they're dancing and singing, the next they're screaming for their lives. It was extremely emotional. And as a young person myself, and as a person with disability, I just felt like it was important for me to be, even if I was standing alone. All the others, many others were saying, "Yeah, let's go home," or blaming the protesters for what had happened, casting aspersions on them. But I said, no, I'll be the only person, even if I'm the only person and everyone hates me or I am targeted for what I'm about to say. Let it be, because I am always very particular about what I say and when I say it, and I always say, God, give me the words to speak. I don't want to speak on my own behalf. Anytime I stand up in front of a microphone, I'm always waiting for God to say, this is what I want you to share with the world.
Yes.
And so that morning, that is exactly what God put in my heart to share with the world. And I had to do it. There was no otherwise for me.
All right. Okay, just at that point, how is it to balance, about the rights of youth, talking about persons with disabilities? How do you balance all these? That still take care of the interests of both parties.
Yes.
And plus many more.
Well, I represent that intersectionality, don't I? Because I'm a youth, I'm a woman, and I'm a person with disability. And so I live that every single day, balancing the three. And of course, I'm a musician as well, so creative rights are also in there. But it is made easier because of my own personal life experience every single day. And being able to move and weave between those different special interest groups is part of my job. And I think that is one of the reasons why, in fact, I was even given this nomination by my party leader, because I am somebody that can speak to many factions, you see. So balancing is not really the problem. It's more about having the voice heard, because we are the minority in many situations, many platforms. So having only one person or just a few opportunities to speak on these issues is they're hard to find. They're few and far between. But I continue to push.
All right. I want us to begin to delve into the assented the PWDs Act 2025. Before we do that, what does a better Kenya look like for you?
A better Kenya for me looks like one that gives space and self-efficacy to every individual, no matter their ability or disability. That should not be something that is even on the table. It should not be like, oh, you're a PWD, so this is what you're allowed and this is what is afforded to you. It should just be, you're a human being, you're a Kenyan, you're the sovereign power as per Article number 1, and therefore your rights and freedoms are intact. So that's what, for me, Kenya should look like moving forward, more diverse, more inclusive, because it is a fact that more diverse nations, more diverse societies and spaces actually foster innovation and creativity. Because if we always have men in a room, or only women in a room, or only PWDs in a room, then you'll only get one perspective on different issues. But if you mix it up, I mean, you can't have ugali on its own on a plate. Lazima ukule ka mrenda, kanyama, so that the plate is, fulfilling. So it's the same, I believe, and I think Kenya is very much due for more inclusion and more diversity.
And we pray for that, Kenya, that we'll be able to realize the same. Let's go to the PWDs Act of 2025. But before then, just to lay a foundation, what gaps did you see in the 2003 Act that you felt we need to address this, so that now you came up with this particular bill?
Yeah, well, first of all, as you were saying in the intro beforehand, it's from 2003. And so you will note that is way before, 7 years before our constitution of 2010. And so number one, it's not aligned with the provisions of our constitution. And then number two, there is something called the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. It's an international document or tool that Kenya signed into, including other member states across the world. And that was from 2008. So you see the bill was 2003, and then there's 2008 that we ratified the CRPD, and then 2010 we ratified our constitution. So it is behind both of those instruments. So that is one reason I needed to align the act to different instruments that we are assigned to. Number two, there have been so many progressions in technology, in international standards and principles with regard to disability since 2003. So that was like, over 20 years ago. There are children who have been born.
20 years
correct, and they need something that is, that is with the times, up to the standards of 2025, basically. So that is another reason why I felt it was important to repeal the old act and then put in place this one. And then also there are things that are not included in the 2003 act, the old one. For example, it doesn't recognize people with neurodiverse disabilities. Those are the people with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, dyslexia. They don't recognize such. So I needed for those communities to also feel that, yes, they are part and parcel of our laws. So those are just some of the things that I felt were really important and are now safely and squarely in my 2025 act.
All right. According to the census 2019, we had, the persons with disabilities making up to 2% of the population in Kenya. Those are above 5 years. Talk about these numbers and talking about, the international numbers, the global numbers that are at 15%.
Yes.
Are we at par? Are the numbers correct?
I don't think so. And in fact, you'll be it will be difficult to find anyone in the disability community who does agree with those numbers. Because in 2009 census, let's go back to that one, we were counted at about 1.3 million.
1.3 million.
Correct. PWDs in the country. And then 10 years later, 2019, like you said, we are now counted at about 900,000. So we went down. 400,000 PWDs have just disappeared in 10 years, apparently. Or maybe we have all been cured. I don't know. But I think it's because of, discrepancies in the data collection process of 2019. One of them being, for example, myself, I was never counted in 2019. I waited in my house. I waited. No one knocked on my door. So currently, I do not exist. Yes. Me sitting here, I do not exist according to our census. So it's things like that. Simple things like, did enumerators actually go door to door to door? Number two, were enumerators even trained properly on how to identify different disabilities? For somebody with dyslexia, that is a disability. But how will you identify that if you're looking at somebody? That somebody has dyslexia, you see? Things like that. So, and also there's the issue of PWDs themselves internally not having accepted or not wanting to say out loud, I'm a PWD. So there are those intricacies that I don't think were taken into account in 2019, and that's probably why we now are down 400,000. And it doesn't make sense as well, by the way, guys, that the general population continues to rise. Like in PWD, CC, we continue to fall. That doesn't make sense, where we don't have technology, medical facilities like the West, to justify that. So there are many issues with the numbers. And if the numbers are wrong, then we don't get proper allocation of budgets. We don't get we are not thought about properly in programming or activities or strategic thinking and interventions by the government. So we continue to suffer.
All right. Gigi, before you come in, allow me to ask, you've talked of the neurodiverse, you've talked about the dyslexia. There are people out here who don't even understand the persons with a disability, because what is a disability? Because most of us are used to, maybe you see somebody, what you can see, you can tell that so is unable to see,
the visible
unable to
disabilities.
Walk. Yes. Now, how do we tell, and how many disabilities are we talking about here?
Yeah, well, according to statistics and data worldwide, there are over 300 different types of disabilities. So I don't think, first of all, that Kenyans even have a grasp of even a fraction of that. We, like you said, we just know the ones that we see and the ones we're used to knowing or hearing of: wheelchair users, people using crutches, blind, deaf. I think from there we stop even identifying PWDs, and so we don't even think of those with multiple disabilities either. You see, those are also many in numbers. So without that education, without that sensitization, we continue to get it mixed up and not really giving proper identification or categorization to persons with disabilities. And like you say, neurodiverse disabilities is something very new. It's something that we've only really started thinking about in the last maybe 10, 15 years as part of law, because, different countries are teaching us that there are things that we need to learn or unlearn and relearn, you see, like neurodiverse disabilities. We need to move away, for example, people from calling them mental disorders. Some
Yeah.
people still call them mental disorders, which is not politically correct, but or even polite at all.
Yes.
But it's small things like that. I think we need a lot of more education. Ministry of Health and Education have a lot of work on their plate. If they are to realize the sections that belong to them in my PWD Act of 2025.
Yeah.
And it will require a concerted effort from different ministries, because each section has its owner.
Yeah.
Sections pertaining to transport, it'll be Ministry of Transport to figure out how to regulate and bring those to life.
Yes.
Sections pertaining to education, Ministry of Education. Sections pertaining to health, etc. Ministry of Health. You see, so they all have a lot of work to do. It's a 64-page document, very long.
Yes.
I did a lot of work. I put a lot of thought into it, and a lot of stakeholder engagement as well was involved, because I did not want to be that kind of person or legislator that just does things on their own.
All right.
Because we know that if you move on your own, you don't move very far.
All right. So this is why you are talking about mainstreaming this conversation.
Yes.
You know, I'm listening to you, Senator, and the question that comes to mind is, as a country, we have passed so many laws, so many legislations and all, so many reports, and we have come up with all those beautiful, reports and
paperwork.
How do we translate now this challenge of policy now into practice? Because I believe that is where it all matters, where the rubber now meets the road, so that now this person with disability is now and feels part and parcel of this country in terms of health, in terms of transport, in terms of education, and all the benefits that are included, and you will be mentioning some of them in this act that was enacted.
Yeah, you're right. I think implementation has always been the bane of any piece of law that we've ever seen. Does it actually see the light of day in terms of, do Kenyans feel it? And this is no exception. I don't want to be naive to think that every single piece or part or clause that I have put together will be implemented tomorrow. No, it won't be. It requires regulation, number one. So now it's passed just a week ago. Today, this time last week, actually.
Yes.
It was just passed in State House, and so the next step is having all these different ministries come up with regulations. Like I say, how to have their part come alive. What is the criteria? What framework will they use to bring to life their parts of the act? Sorry. That's the first thing.
Yes.
And to do that, it will, of course, take time and money, because you need consultants, you need workshopping, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And I would wish that part or that process is hastened by people saying, for example, I'm moving around different meetings asking for funding, like, hey, so and so, can you please help fund the creation of this regulation? Because I know that different ministries will say we have budgetary, cuts, and we're constrained with money, so we need, this one will be done in 12 months. We'll wait for 12 months to look for the money and do it, but we don't have that much time. So regulations need to be put together, number one. Number two, I think the public also needs to talk about it a lot. Share and talk about it, because that is how you will push policymakers to pay attention to it. If we keep quiet, then nobody will even know that there was an act that was passed last week. And so I would also encourage, hata kama ni, mama in chamas, people who have, I don't know, book clubs, such things. Whenever you convene a group and you know about this bill, about this act, just talk about it, read through the bills. I'm always posting on my social media about different highlights and key provisions. And I think it needs to be a joint effort. So let government do their part, but then also let us as the general public do our part in talking about it.
And I like what you're doing very aggressively, going all out in ensuring that the country is informed, educated of what has actually happened. But as you said, it's a concerted effort. You can't really be everywhere.
Correct.
Every day.
Yes.
So you need help, you need assistance. And with that, because the media plays a role, the education, because there are persons with disabilities in these learning institutions as well, the same need is also, or rather is shared even at that level.
Yes.
Senator, would you highlight for us, if now we can get into the PWDs Act of 2025?
I think before we do that, there's the bit of the part of the 2003, before we just, so that we can have a contrast. How was it in terms of inclusivity, maybe in the employment sector, public service, for the previous act? These are the 2003.
So in the previous act, it also said that there should be allocation of 5% minimum
Yes.
employment for persons with disabilities in both appointive and elective positions across the country. That's public sector and private sector. So not just PSC
Yes.
to stick to or get to that 5% employment of PWDs, but also, the blue chip companies all the way down to like the small startups, if possible, 5% allocation for PWDs. That has not been attained by anyone across the country. In the reports that I have been collecting over years, the highest that we have come to is about 1.8. That is
1.8.
PSC, with the Public Service Commission only having about 1.8 PWDs employed with them. And then, of course, in private sector, Safaricom is teetering at around the same number, 1.8 to 2%. So we are still, since the 2003 Act, 20-something years ago, but hatujafika 5%. So there's a lot of work to do, but it's still included in mine as well. So that, because we need to be optimistic. We cannot. I don't write laws so that to be limiting with the laws that I write or the ideology or the ideal, that I see Kenya going towards. We need to also push for these things rather than taking them down. People were saying, why don't we just bring it down to 2%? Because is it realistic? But I said no.
Yes.
How will we push ourselves to reach somewhere if we're sort of like moving slowly and encouraging us to slow down? So that has not been attained, unfortunately, and many PWDs because of that are lacking employment and therefore continue to swim in that cycle of poverty.
All right. Okay. I think we need to have maybe the highlights of now the 2025 PWDs Act. Maybe if you could just take us through what it entails.
Yes. So let me start with some incentives, because I believe that it's good to have punitive or to warn people, if you don't do this, this will happen. It's good. But also I think that people respond to incentives as well. So I was very keen on putting in incentives. For example, 25% deduction from taxable income for employers who hire persons with disabilities. So they'll have 25% off if you hire more. The more you hire, 25% will be afforded to you.
All right.
And also for employers, if you make adjustments to your building or your workspace, for example, you put a disabled washroom in your office or the building, or you put disabled parking slots and ramps and lifts that have auditory prompts and the braille, whatever adjustments you do to accommodate PWDs, you can get up to 50% as well incentive from income, right? So those are for costs related to doing that retrofitting. Also, counties must reserve 5% of the public service jobs to persons with disabilities, like we just were talking about. I also have put a minimum of 5% of market stalls should be reserved for entrepreneurs with disabilities. So important. Our toys, our Adams, etc. Also, not just in Nairobi, Gikomba, everywhere in Mombasa, all the way down to every county. I've now said that 5%. And you remember there are these industrial parks that are being created. Yes, even those ones will have to have at least 5% allocated or reserved for PWDs who are entrepreneurs, so that we can continue doing our small businesses, but like, to be heckled out here by Kanjo all the time. Yes. Also, I have raised the retirement age for PWD to 65 because, as you know, many of us, we do not actually get to attain education. You'll find that there's a PWD who is 20 years old in class 4, for example, you see, because of the barriers that we've been talking about so far. And so it's important, and what I've attained from the different public participation that I did was that, hey, we need a bit more time to work because it's so hard for us to actually get into him. Exactly. So, and I'm also included in that. I didn't start working until somebody believed in me when I was well into my 20s. So there's that. I think that's very important. And also very important that people have really been praising or looking forward to is lifetime tax exemption certificate for persons with permanent disabilities. So So far, since the 2003 Act,
Yes.
every 5 years you have to be reassessed and given a new certificate if you have a disability. And people were saying, Sasa now, if me as a wheelchair user, I'm paraplegic, for example.
Yes.
I've been that way since I was 14 years old. I'm now 45. Every 5 years, you have to tell me to get reassessed, and that process is very long and arduous. It can take between 3 and up to 6 or even more months than that. So now I am saying in the Act that if you are deemed to have a permanent disability, you just have to do that one time, and that'll be it. Your certificate will be valid for life. So that's really important. It takes a huge burden off people with disabilities.
Or maybe just at that point before we proceed.
Yeah.
Talk about the process of assessment before somebody, is given the certificate. How long is it? How tedious? Or, is it easy?
Well, most people say that it's not easy. Of course, you're a PWD, so moving around, mobility, looking for for those few monies to do the assessment, it's been a challenge. But the process generally is that you need to go to any level 3, 4, 5 hospital. You find the closest one to you in your county, your ward, your sub-county.
Yes.
And then you take with you a letter from the doctor saying that yes, this person, Crystal Asige, is visually impaired. She has glaucoma. These are the reports to prove that this is the condition that she has. Take that to the level 3, 4, or 5 hospital, and then they will do for you a medical assessment within the hospital. Different hospitals charge different things. I want to make that clear. Across the country, medical facilities have their own costs.
Yes.
Some do it for free. Like, for example, Mama Lucy, I know, do it for free. But there are some who do it for 600 shillings, 500 shillings. I myself, when I was in Mombasa doing mine many years ago, I paid about 1,000 shillings in Shuda.
Yes.
That's where I did my assessment. So it will depend and vary depending on where you are. But it should definitely not go above 1,500.
Okay.
And if it does, call me and tell me about that so that I can also question these hospitals. Why would you make the charges so high?
Maybe
so
how long does it take?
So after that, it takes about 3 months. That's what they say, or that's what it is on paper. Yes, but there are those who complain it's taken longer. And then after that medical assessment report has come out within those 3 months that they say, it is taken to the director of I forget the health services, I think here in Nairobi, to counter check it, to approve it. And then after that approval happens in Nairobi, then you can take that approval together with all the other documentation that you have been moving around with, now to National Council for Persons with Disabilities. It's on Wayaki Way here in Nairobi. And you take all this documentation to them, and then now they will give you and process to give you a disability certificate.
That's the
so that you're
Director of
registered.
Medical Services, huh?
Thank you, Director of
Goodness.
Medical Services.
And then we're coming back. We continue with this conversation. Any question? Social media platforms and also on our WhatsApp.
Hope FM, another quality service from Christ, is the Answer Ministry.
The Asian community in Kenya has been nationally recognized as the 44th tribe of the people of this great nation.
Many of which who have already been exposed to the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Starting this January, every third Thursday of the month, we bring you Asia Testify,
where we will be listening to life-transforming stories of Asian believers who have walked with the Lord. Only here on Hope TV. Look and live.
Men on Record.
Do your children know that you love them? Not by what you buy for them. Do they hear it from you? Emotional abuse. It's a silent killer that we don't talk about. Asking yourself those very relevant questions. What kind of father do I want to be? When I'm getting married, what kind of husband do I want to be?
It's a conversation about men for men.
And remember this:
to revisit, reveal, and heal issues among men.
Good evening, men on record. Why should I talk or say much when all I want is peace, not problems?
Let's set the record straight. Men on Record, Fridays at 7 p.m. live, exclusively on Hope TV and Hope FM. Men on Record.
Particular process. Then after now we get the certification and all. What are some of the other, should I say, incentives that are included in the bill, in the act now?
So now there will also be, if you have a certification and you've been approved and registered, there is also a provision in the Act for parents or caregivers to get exemptions from their income tax if they are a parent or a guardian of a PWD with a severe disability who are incapable of catering for themselves daily, for their basic needs daily. So this is something that parents have really been crying for a long time.
Okay.
You will know that, for example, if you have a child with a severe disability, which renders them, sort of needing 24/7 care,
Yes.
that basically means that the parent or the guardian has to give up their lives to take care of this person, right? And many parents have lost their jobs because employers are like, you're ever asking for leave days, you're ever asking for time to take your child to physiotherapy, to the hospital. So many parents have actually lost their jobs because of frustration from employers, and therefore what is their alternative? Either they go to work, make money to take care of their child, or they stay at home and make no money and continue to suffer. So this one was particularly for those types of parents who have to take care or give 24/7 care to a child or a person, a loved one with a disability. And I'm hoping that once this has regulations in place to support it, it will really, really go a long way. Because I've had parents who say in a week, for example, taking a child to physiotherapy will cost them 4,000 shillings per week.
Per week.
Imagine for 1 hour sessions, 4 times a week, for example. The medication that is entailed, the transport, because you have to get a bigger car or a bigger cab, or pay times 2 in a matatu, things like that. So it's very costly, and I'm hoping that this provision will at least give a bit of relief to these parents and caregivers who really work so hard to raise us PWDs. And then there's also tax incentives for donors, supporters, and insurers who are covering PWDs. So, for example, if you're an insurer, the Jubilees, the ones we know and are aware of in the country, creating products specifically geared to PWDs or institutions that take care of PWDs or schools, special schools, for example. If you actually create products like that as an insurer, then you are able to get a few tax incentives as well afforded to you. So this is, again, just to encourage people to, look at disability as something that they can be a part of, creating solutions for. It was really important for me to do. And also infrastructure and physical accessibility, huge issue. Because if I cannot move, I cannot enjoy life at all.
True.
I cannot access education, anything, all the things that we're talking about.
Yes.
So our buildings and streets really need to adhere to universal design standards, which is now in the Act. It's required in all constructions and transport systems in the country now. And NCPWD are the ones to register accessibility auditors who will now inspect buildings and streets to make sure that, and transport as well, to make sure that they are compliant with universal design standards. If you don't have a ramp, National Council can now come and sanction you and tell you, hey, you have to comply. Look at this PWD Act. It says 1, 2, 3. We're giving you 6 months to comply. And if that building does not comply, then they are subject to punitive actions. You can get a fine of up to 5 million. Or 5 years in jail, or both, if you continue to, abscond your duties as a building owner, for example.
All right.
Yes. So there's let me also go to Section 75 that talks about registered vehicles as well. So matatus, I also didn't forget about our matatus.
Yes.
If
they play a big role.
Yes, they do in transport and moving the country around. So if they create, for example, a special seat designated for PWDs, or modify their car in any way, their vehicle in any way, manyangas, matatus, etc., then they are also eligible for tax incentives and reliefs.
All right.
So this is just to encourage our PSVs, just please, to bebe. Don't
Yeah.
forget, don't leave us. You know, many times you see a PWD at the stages, wachana
Yes.
naye, he has a wheelchair,
Yeah.
they have to do what wachana naye. That's money that is being lost. But now I'm saying we are incentivizing you to at least make those adjustments to your vehicles.
All right. Talk about the provision from the Act to Matters Education, because we've had, schools for persons living with disabilities that are, are separate in their own school, and then we have a school that is for people who are abled, they're fully abled. Talk about this difference, because in the Act, are you talking about now having the persons with disabilities mixed together with somebody who's normal?
Yes, so we're talking about traditional schools versus special schools.
Yes.
Yes, so the international standards, see, I told you that we're now in 2025. This act, for me, I had to bring it up to speed with what's happening across the world, so that at least we have an aim, we have a goal to aim for.
Yes.
And internationally, nowadays, we are calling it inclusive education. So not, like you say, separating, those who are blind, you go over there.
Yeah.
Those who are deaf, you go over there. We now want to see a world and communities where we are integrating and we're becoming more inclusive. So it means that us in this room, we will go and go to a school together.
Yeah.
So that you can learn, I used to go to school with Crystal, a girl called Crystal, she was visually impaired.
Yes.
But I know how to now take care of a visually impaired person. I know how to walk with her. I know how to support her, It becomes normal, you see, so that when we grow up, it's not something that we are now facing still discrimination, stigmatization, things like this. So inclusive education is really important to have all people who are different and diverse in one classroom.
Yes.
And yes, the people with disabilities in inclusive education will need a bit more support, a support teacher, for example. So we are also calling for TSC training to include at the most basic level, just a bit of special education as well. So that every teacher, whether you go and teach geography in the end or whether you go and specialize in physics, at least you have that basic knowledge in how to teach special education. So that, like I say, because education usually is a mirror to what you're going to go and see in the world, isn't it? You'll never go to a place where you only find blind people.
Yeah.
So why should you stick in a blind school from class 1 all the way to when you finish your high school education? So that's very important to me. And also, there's another bill that I'm working on. It's called the Kenyan Sign Language Bill, still in circulation in Parliament. And that has a provision that says we should also have KICD create a curriculum for sign language.
All right.
So that even kids in class 1, class 2 who learn basic sign language, again, so you can grow up at least knowing how to speak English, Swahili, and kidogo sign.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
Allow me to take you back to this issue of the exemption of taxes for them, especially that are taking care of a severely, disabled person. How I know you said the regulations are still being crafted and all, but then again, who stands to benefit from this? Could it be, the reason I'm asking this, could it be also a sibling? Could it be the nitty-gritty?
Any caregiver.
Yeah. So the spirit behind this, let me explain it so that people know exactly what I was thinking of when putting this one together, is that there are people with disabilities which render them sort of dependent on another person for life, right? And therefore, if you're dependent on another person, let's take a paraplegic person again, somebody who is paralyzed maybe from the neck downwards, and really needs support to do everything from eating to showering to going outside to catch a bit of sun, things like that. Those are the kind of people who would have essentially been able to get tax benefits because as a PWD, you're able to get tax exemption, right? Already. They would have been able, if they were able to seek employment, get and benefit from tax exemption. But because their condition renders them incapable of even seeking employment, I asked myself, so what about the person who's taking care of the other person? Like I say, they have to give up their lives.
Yes.
So why not transfer that benefit from the person with a severe disability who cannot look for a job ever in life because of their condition?
Yes.
Transfer that benefit from them to the person who is taking care of that person 24/7, so that at least they benefit from tax exemption. And again, like I say, parents are really struggling with all the costs that come in play with taking care of a PWD who is needing 24/7 care. And so what would that look like? Like you say, regulations. But for me, there's a categorization guideline that the Ministry of Health actually already has.
Okay.
So it categorizes things like severe disabilities, mild disabilities, so on and so forth. That's actually online.
Okay.
And I can always share the link on my social media handles if anyone requires it.
Yeah.
So that the Ministry of Health will use that, I guess, together when they put the regulations together, and use that to then ascertain or at least be part of the criteria for the relevant minister to when they look at these applications for tax exemptions for the caregiver. A caregiver will go to Minister for Finance and say, hey, I'm a caregiver, I'm a legal, not just somebody who nilimpata tu huyu and they're now in my house.
Yes.
Because Kenyans are clever.
Yeah.
They can see this
very
act.
creative.
They can see this act and then
Yeah.
just say, let me go to
It's an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to be legally registered as a parent or a caregiver to this PWD, and then you will go to the relevant CS, make an application, and they will have criteria according to the regulations that they will, like you say, craft,
Yes.
which will assess, okay, this PWD that you're taking care of 24/7, how severe is the disability? Does it render them unable to take care of themselves or seek employment?
Yeah.
And then from there, they will determine how much of a tax exemption you will get and the threshold that you can benefit from.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Senator Crystal. It's interesting that you talked about these people that are, you gave an example of someone who's paralyzed from their neck downward. And we have a listener who's written in this morning and they say, does such a person need to get their national ID, or does their PWD ID suffice? They say this person has never walked. They're taking care of a boy who's now 18. He's never walked. He's been bedridden. And the question is, should they access a national ID?
So in order to get your disability certificate, you already have to have an ID. Because I told you the process, right?
Yes.
You go to the hospital, get your assessment, then you take all those documentation to National Council for PWDs. And in order to get your disability certificate, you also have to produce a national ID so that we know that you're Kenyan. Because also, there are many
Yes.
people who cross the borders.
Yeah.
Yes, because Kenya is really, compared to our counterparts in the continent, we're a bit ahead in different legislation. So you have to prove that you're a Kenyan. You have to have your disability certificate from National Council, and then now you are able to apply for the benefits that are in this law.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So it starts with the national ID and then to the certificate. All right, a very important topic you have. This one says, I have an auntie whose kid is 22 years old and with disabilities, and adult diapers are very expensive. Could there be a clause or a provision on tax exemption on adult diapers?
Off the top of my head, there is not something specific to adult diapers in my law, because the thing is, we cannot get prescriptive in a law.
Yeah.
That's one thing that is usually told to us as part of standards and principles of writing law. So
Yes.
that is not exclusive or expressly in my law about diapers. However, I do know many organizations that do support in such with such products to support people with disabilities, and I would encourage our listener to try and look for those information or those numbers from the National Council for persons with disabilities.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And I guess probably that would be the same for this one, Senator, who says, I'm loving the conversation, and God bless you, Senator. My question is, does the government offer free Epilim medication? They say their son has suffered for a very long time due to convulsions disorder. And the medication is quite expensive for them to get. What do you make of that, Senator?
I may not be able to speak to that because I'm not in the Ministry of Health, and so I don't have that information with me. I would encourage maybe that listener to get in touch with us on my social media, and if he or she identifies themselves, then I can try to try and get the data that they require from Ministry of Health.
All right.
All right.
They speak of, they say this, and maybe you could give us a comment on that, on the issue of stigma and discrimination, because they say their son was rejected from a high school due to his state, and he was quite, and she says this has left them hurting for a long while. The son convulses every now and then, and that bothers other students. That's the reason they were given.
Yes, I think, funnily enough, the 2003 Act does not have provisions, the old one now, did not have provisions for discrimination.
Okay.
So now with mine, with this new law that I've been able to put in place, it is a rights-based approach. It's now, it is recognizing that disability rights are human rights. You cannot discriminate against me to enter a supermarket or to access a hospital or to go into classrooms because of my disability. So now with this law in place, that person or that case, and I've had many of these cases. In fact, recently I was dealing with a young lady from Bungoma County who was told she cannot do her KCSE exams because of her condition, and she was locked out of school. And so those kinds of situations where there is proof, you can absolutely take that institution or that school to court, and they be tried under the law.
All right. Okay. You keep mentioning the National Council of Persons with Disabilities, because they will play and they ought to play such a big role in this. How strong are they? And especially at the grassroots level. And the reason why I'm asking this is because of the issue of stigmatization. And so you find at the grassroots level, they are hiding these people, they are hiding their children, they don't want them to come out. And so if the council has serious footprints at the grassroots, it means they can even be able to visit their homes and have these people registered.
Yeah.
How crucial are they?
Very crucial. Unfortunately, though, the National Council do not have much budget. Like I said, remember I told you about data?
Yes, yes.
Because we're so few, we don't have much money that comes to us. That's the case for National Council. In fact, in this year's finance bill, I've had a look and I see that National Council, though last year and the previous years they were given a budget of about 259 million, this year the proposal is that it gets cut down to 159, even though they had actually requested for an increase, but instead they're getting a decrease. And so it's really difficult for them to, roll out their programs, activities, especially in the counties. Those Wajirs and Kwales, very far-flung places. Unfortunately, they only have one officer. Can you imagine per county? There's only one PWD officer in each county. Running an entire county, which means that they have to, like you say, go and how do they look for these people who are hidden inside homes, deep in rural areas especially. I propose, and this is something that I am lobbying for with the Ministry of Health, together with Ministry of Immigration and other cabinet ministers. We need CHPs to be trained on disability matters.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who are really on the ground. We need local chiefs as well to be educated on matters of disability, how to identify, how to sensitize a household on on the ways to take care of this PWD instead of locking them away.
Yes.
So it needs way more people on the ground. It cannot just be that one NCPWD officer in a county, because budgets are not friendly, unfortunately. When it comes time to cut budgets, disability is always number one. It's very sad.
All right. Okay. We have a good number of PWDs in the streets. It's purported, alleged that they're being used for, as a commercial, for commercial purposes, to beg out here. Do we have a provision in the Act speaking to this?
Yes, and let's not say it's purported or alleged. It's happening.
Okay.
Let's just be frank and say it, because we see it. It is absolutely happening, and from my county, Mombasa especially, it is very prevalent.
Okay.
You just see people being dropped off at 7 a.m. on some corner in Mombasa, or even in here in Nairobi. I've experienced the same, and their job is to beg.
Yes.
They're dropped off in a matatu, like 10 of them. They beg, especially children. children because they apparently they gain more money than older people with disabilities. And then at 6 p.m. they're picked up and they go and give their earnings to whoever. So now that is absolutely a crime in my law. It never used to be, funnily enough, and it was never recognized as something that needs punitive action to be afforded to it. So now I have said that anyone who is found using people with disabilities or children with disabilities for begging or for receiving alms, it's called legal. That's a legal language. Receiving alms is also can also face the law by a 2 million shilling fine, 2 years in prison, or to both if convicted.
Okay. All right.
Right. Somebody's asking actually how they can get. How can we contact Crystal in regards to the PWDs Act?
Oh, fantastic. I'm all over social media. I try to be as active as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm on all socials. You can always DM me and I look. By the way, speaking of social, this morning there is a follower of mine.
Yes.
His name is Say No to GOK Oppression. Alisema niwasalimie.
All right.
They said that you guys are awesome and I should make sure that I shout to you.
All
out.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, social media, as you can see, I'm always on it. I'm always looking at comments and DMs so they can find me on social. And my office is also open. I'm in Parliament. If you call Parliament buildings and seek for my office to have a sit down with you, then we can absolutely do that.
All right. Okay, now what's your clarion call to, the government, to social groups and the church, many people out here, the general public, towards the bill, the act?
Well, my clarion call is for once and for all, let us prioritize disability matters. Because honestly, if you look at any data, any statistics, any studies across the world, you will see that they say, once you make an environment friendly to a person with disability, once you make an environment safe for a person with disability, once you make an environment equitable or affordable, you make it all of those things for every single other person. Can you imagine, basically, if I could move from here to my office, to home, to the supermarket without needing anyone's help? That means that a child can do it, the elderly can do it, people who don't speak the local language can do it, because PWDs are like a very good benchmark. If you make it good for us, it's automatically good for everyone. So my call would be for government to see disability as a way to make our country more sustainable, more inclusive by prioritizing it. And I would also say to the general public, support this act, even if you can't do anything physically about it. Just share it, talk about it. Like I say, share it online. If you see my posts floating around on your timeline, just hit share or send it to a person that you know would benefit from the information I'm trying to give out. And I would also say to PWDs themselves, let us take ownership of this act.
All right.
I have done my part. I've spent 2.5 arduous years putting it together. As a first-time nominated senator, somebody who's never been a politician. I'm not from dynasty. Mimi sina pesa. I didn't come from a long line of politicians. I have really put my heart and soul into this act. And I think that it's now for me to pass on the baton to Council of Governors, pass the baton to general public, local chiefs, churches, schools, Gen Z, those who support me, so that we can get it as far and as wide as possible.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate your time and even the hard work that you have done put in to ensure that now the bill is now an act, and really appreciate you for the same, and for the good work. May God renew you, and may He refresh you.
Amen.
Even as you continue to traverse the whole nation to ensure that the same is now being implemented. Sharon.
Absolutely. We have way too many comments for the time that we have, and so probably we should consider having, many actually are saying you should consider having Senator Crystal come back, and many are actually applauding the great work that Senator Crystal has done. And so once again, from all of us, it's a big thank you to you, Senator, for the great work. Keep on keeping on.
Shukran.
We're waiting for many more from you, because we've seen you do it. Keep on keeping on. And that's it. Gentlemen.
Yes.
Frank
Lady.
and George, this is it. This is your cue to say goodbye.
All right. George Gishuru, nikwambie kwa heri.
Usiseme tu ambia msikilizaji kwa heri. But anyway, thank you so very much. It's been really enjoyed myself as well. Thank you, Activate team, for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you so
really
much.
Appreciate.
Hope at Dawn. Hope TV for hosting us. God bless you.
God bless you. See you tomorrow, same time and same place. Bye-bye.
Hope FM.